You think you spend about $86 a month on subscriptions. You actually spend closer to $273. That's not a guess. That's the average gap between what Americans think they pay every month and what actually leaves their account. And almost nobody notices the difference until they finally sit down and add it all up. The scary part isn't the number. It's why you can't feel it. Not long ago, you bought things. A movie was a disc you owned. Software came in a box. Your car's heated seats came with the car. Today, all three of those might quietly charge you every single month instead. And that shift wasn't an accident. It was a business decision, repeated across almost every industry at once. The subscription economy has exploded into a market worth hundreds of billions of dollars, growing several times faster than the broader stock market for over a decade. Companies didn't switch to subscriptions because you asked them to. They switched because a customer who pays every month is worth far more than one who pays once. Somewhere around 62% of companies now say they plan to convert at least one of their products into a subscription, turning things you used to simply buy into things you now rent indefinitely. Industry data is blunt about this. A subscription customer is worth around 70% more over their lifetime than a one-time buyer. That single fact reorganized how modern companies think about selling you almost anything. The clearest example of how far this can go came from your driveway. A few years ago, BMW started charging a monthly fee to turn on heated seats in cars that already had the heating hardware installed from the factory. Let that sink in. The seats could already heat. The wires, the elements, all of it was sitting in the car you already bought. BMW just locked it behind a roughly $18 a month paywall and asked you to pay rent on a part you already owned. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Customers compared it to being charged extra to use the remote that came in the box. And by 2023, BMW quietly killed the heated seat subscription entirely, with its own executives later admitting it was, in their words, probably not the best place to start, and that the size of the backlash caught them completely off guard. But here's what most people missed. BMW backing off wasn't the industry giving up. It was the industry learning exactly where your line is. Mercedes still charges to unlock extra acceleration in some electric models. Volkswagen has offered around 27 extra horsepower for about $22 a month through a software unlock. Tesla charges monthly for its driver assist features and even removed the one-time purchase option. Mazda has kept remote start behind a paywall. The lesson the industry actually took away wasn't "don't do subscriptions." It was "don't get caught charging for obvious hardware." Software-based features feel less like a paywall and more like a service, even when the difference to you, the person paying, is basically nothing. The seat still heats, the horsepower is still in the engine. The only thing standing between you and a feature your car physically already has is a monthly payment and a line of code. This got far enough that lawmakers stepped in. Legislators in New Jersey and New York moved to ban automakers from charging subscriptions for hardware already built into a car, with one bill's supporters flatly calling the practice subscription extortion. When politicians on both sides start agreeing something has gone too far, you know it stopped being niche. Cars are just the loudest example. The quieter version is happening to almost everything you use. The average American household now juggles somewhere between 8 and 12 active subscriptions at once. Streaming alone eats around $69 a month across an average of 4.5 different platforms, and that number keeps climbing every single year. and the generation that grew up with this pays the most for it. Gen Z spends more on subscriptions than any older group, in some markets roughly 3 times what Gen X pays, precisely because they came of age in a world where renting access felt normal and owning things outright felt old-fashioned. The model didn't just win, it reset what people expect ownership to even mean. There's even a name for the exhaustion this creates. Around 4 in 10 consumers now report what researchers call subscription fatigue, the specific feeling of being nickel and dimed by a dozen invisible monthly charges you can't quite keep track of. But here's the uncomfortable part. Feeling tired of subscriptions and actually canceling them are 2 very different things, and companies are betting heavily on the gap between them.
And this is where the real trick lives.
These fees are deliberately kept small, under $20 most of them. Individually, none of them feels worth canceling. A couple bucks here, 10 there. Your brain files each one as too trivial to bother with. But add up a dozen of those, month after month, and you're spending thousands of dollars a year on services you barely think about. Studies suggest the average person wastes over $25 every month on subscriptions they've completely forgotten they have. Not cancelled, forgotten, still paying. And roughly 4 in 10 people admit they're currently paying for at least one subscription they didn't even remember existed until something forced them to look. The design goes deeper than just small numbers. Annual billing hides the monthly cost, so a single big charge feels like a rare event instead of an ongoing drain. Free trials count on you forgetting to cancel before they silently convert to paid. Introductory $1-a-month deals are engineered to boost sign-ups because the company knows most people won't leave once they're in. And when you finally do try to leave, you'll often notice the cancel button is somehow harder to find than the subscribe button ever was. That's not laziness in the app design, that's the point. Every extra step between you and canceling is another month of revenue. Roughly 2 out of 3 people underestimate how much they spend on subscriptions. That misperception isn't a coincidence. It's the entire product working exactly as intended. Because a cost you can't feel is a cost you won't cancel. To be fair, subscriptions genuinely can offer value. Spreading a big cost into small monthly payments is real flexibility, and for a service you use constantly, that flexibility is worth something. Nobody's saying every subscription is a scam, but there's a difference between choosing to rent something and being quietly enrolled into renting everything. The subscription model didn't spread across every industry because it's better for you. It spread because predictable monthly revenue is better for them, and because a fee you don't notice is the most profitable fee there is. Every product turned into a subscription is a product you no longer fully own, just one you're permanently borrowing, on terms the company can change whenever it likes. And that shift has a quiet sting most people only discover later. When you subscribe instead of buy, you don't actually own the movie, the game, the software, or the feature. You own access, and access can be raised in price, changed, or taken away the moment it stops being profitable to give it to you. People have watched digital movies they thought they bought simply vanish from their libraries when a licensing deal expired. Ownership used to be permanent. Access is only ever temporary. So the real question isn't whether any single subscription is worth it. It's how many you're paying for right now that you couldn't even name from memory. Because the entire system is built on a simple bet that you'll keep paying for things you've stopped noticing precisely because you've stopped noticing them, and that the effort of finding and canceling them all will always feel like just a bit more trouble than it's worth. Subscribe to keep learning how the quiet costs in your life actually get designed and who they're really designed to benefit.